My name is Ngozi Ibe, and welcome to Leadership, Health, and Wellness. And we're sorry for all the break this while. We have, gone back to do our assignments, and we're back to give you, very important topics to discuss about our health because we've decided that our health is priority. So we're here with episodes, to stimulate you to keep working towards living healthy and better lifestyles. So today we're talking about having a healthy heart. And we have a guest with us, Dr. Shidali Vincent, consultant cardiologist from Head Department of Internal Medicine, Federal Medical Center, KEFI, who specializes in clinical care, research, training of postgraduate resident doctors. So, welcome to Leadership,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you
Dr.
for having
Shidali.
me.
Yes. So, like I said earlier, we are back to give you juicy topics that has to do with your health and wellness. So on today's episode, having a healthy heart, we want doctor to enlighten us more of the myths and about surrounding health diseases or health problems. And then we also want to talk about how the heart works. Knowing how the heart works is going to help us to better take care of our heart and better take care of our well-being generally. And so, doctor, like, what is the a basic, you know, telling us how the heart works? Like, if we were to ask, like, for a layman, for that ordinary man, Nigerian, day, how does the heart work?
Okay, the heart is one of the major organs in the body, and is very critical for the functioning of the entire body. We usually say the heart of each individual is about the size of his fist, and as we all know, the heart is in thoracic cavity, particularly towards the left side, and the heart is a very active organ that beats all through the day. Averagely, a heart beats for up to about 100 to 120 times uh, per day for 24 hours. And anything that obstructs these beats poses a very serious risk to life. So the heart is an organ that is closely linked to every organ system in the body. Yeah, because the heart is connected to every aspect of the body through some channels we refer to as blood vessels. And so when the heart beats, it acts as a pump. Actually, it's a muscular pump. Yeah, and when it pumps blood, this blood follows these channels and go around the body through the what we call the arteries. And then when this blood reaches all parts of the body, the blood is returned back to the heart again when all the essential nutrients, the oxygen, and all that the body needs has been extracted from the blood. The blood, will I call it the empty blood now? The blood that is has been depleted of all its nutrients and whatever. Now it turns back to the heart through what we call the veins. Yeah. And by the time it gets to the heart sends this blood to the lungs to go and get a fresh supply of oxygen, and then this oxygen returns back to the heart again, and then the heart returns it to the body. So there are two basic pathways in blood circulation. One pathway is from the heart to the lungs to get oxygen from the lungs, and then the blood comes back to the heart. Then from the heart to the rest part of the body, and back to the heart again. That is one complete cycle. So basically, that is how the heart works. And anything that tampers with this continuous beating and circulation of the blood brings the body function to a standstill, and that results in death. So that tells you why it is very important for the heart to remain healthy, remain functioning, and never stop. Because once it stops, life has ended.
Hmm. Okay. So the doctor mentioned heart beating and you said 120
1,000 times.
120,000 times. So for how many minutes or seconds can a heart stop beating and that can result to
Yeah, for any duration the heart stops beating, uh, it is a real disservice.
Hmm.
to the body organs, particularly the brain and other vital organs like the kidney. So usually the body can really tolerate the heart from not beating for more than 2, 3, minutes to be very risky. Understand? So there is no place for the heart to stop beating. That is why when people have what we call cardiac arrest means the heart has stopped working and stopped delivering blood, to the body.
Yeah.
That is why there is need to immediately institute what we call basic life support, which starts with what? Chest compression and delivery of breaths. This to ensure that the body organs do not, suffer that that lack of blood supply. So that continues until the heart picks up. Because if the body remains like that, before the heart picks up, even if the person survives, he's going to survive with significant damage. The person may remain alive, but the brain will not function well again, particularly. So we don't allow the heart to stay without functioning. Yes, I think that's what I would say.
Okay. Okay, so I want to know at what age is it that people start having heart complications, or is there a particular age to having heart problems?
Yeah, there is no particular age because some people are unfortunate to be born with heart disease. So right from the time we step into the world, we have heart disease. We call them various things. But as common man, I'm sure you have heard of hole in the heart. Yes, hole in the heart. That's what we call VSD or OSD, ASD. When the heart partitions are not complete, that's one of the very common things that happen at that. So there are many other things that can happen to the blood vessels and to the heart itself right from there. So it tells you that somebody can be born with heart problem. But beyond that, other types of heart problem that we call acquired heart disease, which a person is not born with, can also be gotten even right from childhood. So there are various diseases that affect the hearts that are commoner in childhood, and there are others that are commoner in adulthood. So there is no particular age. At any time, one can get an acquired heart disease, as some people are actually born with heart disease.
Okay. Okay, so doctor, I would like to know specifically for people who have a family record of heart disease, maybe age 45, say age 45, their dad died or their one of the parents died from a heart disease. What are the things they can do to start living healthy lives? Like what are healthy choices they can make to start living a lifestyle that can help them probably when they get to that age to not have the same.
Okay, I guess you are asking about acquired heart diseases, uh, which most times are multifactorial. We call them multifactorial because genetics is not solely responsible for the expression of that heart disease. There are other inherited types of heart disease um, where other factors play less significant role in the expression of the disease. Now, for those, there's nothing so much you can do in terms of lifestyle and all that may prevent the expression of such disease. Rather, treatment interventions may help in such cases. But in acquired heart diseases where there is a component of genetic contribution to the expression of such diseases, then um, as a person, when you know, okay, this tends to happen in my family, or a member of my family has had this, or my parents, uh, you can leverage on other factors that contributes to those heart disease, working on those other factors to prevent the genetic component from having expression. I don't know whether that is clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that does occur. And what we advise people in such case is early in life, you know, you have to start taking some measures. In other words, uh, you have to start addressing the risk factors that contribute to heart disease. Now, those risk factors, the ones you can do things about are the modifiable ones. There are non-modifiable risk factors like, okay, you are a black man, you can't change it. You are growing older, you can't change your age. Maybe you are female, you can't change your gender. Yeah, those, there's nothing you can do about them. So, but other things like smoking, you avoid smoking because it's a key risk factor when it comes to heart disease. Um, Salt ingestion. Salt is a major problem, especially in uh, in people developing hypertension. And hypertension is a very strong risk factor for heart disease. So we encourage people to take less of salt, because salt has been shown to make people prone to developing hypertension. Other aspects of diets, we encourage people to take a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, a lot of foods that are rich in fiber, in potassium, and less in fats, particularly saturated fats. And when you say saturated fat, those are fats. Those are fats that are sourced mainly from animal. Cow meat, and other forms of meat, pig, and all that. They have abundance of fat. So diets that are low in fats, uh, and then um, also less in polyunsaturated fatty acid. Now, when you adopt this lifestyle, including things like regular exercise, because the heart is an organ that you can build its capacity by getting engaged in exercise. Usually, we encourage people to have exercise that will between 30 minutes to 1 hour, 3 to 4 times a week. That is adequate. It can be in form of brisk walking, cycling, jogging, swimming, and other things like that. Yeah. So exercise is also very important. Avoiding sedentary lifestyle, that also poses risk to heart disease. And then people who are obesity is a risk for heart disease. Those who have diabetes is also a very strong risk. And lifestyle also plays a very important role in developing diabetes. I talked about hypertension, which is also very central. Alcohol ingestion also is a very strong risk for heart disease. So these are common things that one can work. You work at these things, and then you reduce your risk of developing heart disease when there is such history in your family already.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I also want to know how does high blood pressure affect your heart? Like what connection is high blood pressure and the heart?
Okay. Um, high blood pressure is the single most important risk factor that cause heart disease in sub-Saharan Africa, if I may say, among the black race. Um, uh, Studies that have been done looking at heart disease in sub-Saharan Africa has put hypertension as the commonest risk. And when you understand what hypertension means, it means the pressure at which blood is being delivered, is being conveyed around the body, is higher than normal. That's the meaning of hypertension. Yeah, because when the heart pushes the blood around the body, it has to do that at a pressure. There has to be a pressure difference between the heart, where the blood flow is going to start, and the organ that is going to receive the blood. It is that pressure difference that ensures that the blood travels from the heart to get to the organ. Now, when the pressure at which this event is happening is higher than normal, that is what we call hypertension. And then you will agree with me that when that happens, it means that the pressure at which the blood reaches the organ is higher than it should be. And so that impact on the organ is unnecessary, because God has designed the body to function at a particular pressure. Even the flow of the blood through the blood vessels, when it does that at a higher pressure, it damages the walls and the linings of those vessels that are conveying them, because it's moving at a higher speed than normal. And so the heart also, that has to pump that blood at a higher pressure, is doing extra work that's not supposed to do. It's supposed to deliver this blood at a regulated pressure between systolic of 90 and 140. That is how it is designed. Once the heart is delivering blood at a systolic pressure of 180, the heart has to do extra work to do that. In the process of the heart doing extra work, the heart is stretched. Once the heart is stretched, the muscles of the heart will want to meet up with that demand. So the muscles of the heart will start growing bigger. The heart will start becoming muscle. That's the first thing that happens, and that's what we discover most times. When people do X-ray, they tell them your heart is enlarged. That's where it starts from. Because the heart muscle is being built up. It's like somebody who does weightlifting every day. The muscle begins to grow. So that's what happens to the heart. Once it's functioning at a high pressure, the muscle begins to grow. It begins to become big. And when you allow the muscles to continue to grow, it will get to a point where the heart has a very big size, but it does not have the energy, like the law of diminishing return. Initially, the heart will cope, and then we're doing the work better at a high pressure. But as time goes on, the heart will now become very big. It doesn't have the energy it has before. And so the pressure now, the delivery to the organs will now drop because it's not meeting up. That is when you now start having complaints from the patient. Sometimes the mere increase in the size of the heart start bringing discomfort in the chest. And then sometimes as the muscle has grown big, the blood supply to the heart becomes insufficient for the new size of the muscles. So the person will begin to experience chest discomfort. And that sheer increase in the size of the heart distorts the architecture. There are other things in the heart apart from the muscle. The heart also has an electrical system that delivers impulse, the impulse that dictates the pace at which the heart should beat. So when the heart enlarges in size, it distorts that structural, that normal structure. So it now opens the gates for a whole lot of symptoms. The person can start having irregular heart, start becoming aware of his heartbeats, or sometimes the heartbeat is not regular, understand? Start having chest pain, start becoming tired easily. All these are features to show that the heart is now tired. It has done this work, but it can no longer cope. And at the extreme end of this, the heart will now start becoming dilated. It will start ballooning. That big muscle will now start thinning out, and the heart will now become globular like a ball and very weak. At that point, you begin to say the heart has failed. So that is spectrum of what can happen to the heart when you expose it to high blood pressure. And most people with heart disease, with heart failure in sub-Saharan Africa, among the blacks, hypertension is the single most common cause.
Well, thank you for breaking this down. So we'll go on a very short break, but we'll come back with we want to find out if really heartbreak has anything to do with the heart actually breaking. So stay with us while we come back.
Leadership TV for God and country.
So welcome back. So, sir, does he have is there any relationship with people going through a heartbreak or an emotional situation and they're telling you that my heart is broken, my heart has broken, I can't, sometimes they're holding on to their heart and they're like, I cannot take it, I'm losing, like, what relationship does our heart has to do with the emotions?
Okay. First of all, I think the seat of emotion one is not in the heart, but there is a direct relationship between such events and the function of the heart. Yes. Though I forgot to mention initially, one of the risks we also talked about is stress. Stress also be a risk. And when you say stress can be emotional. So what you call heartbreak can be categorized as emotional stress. Understand? And when there is emotional stress, the body responds and release some hormones to respond, to that shock. Key among them are what we call the catecholamines, and they are counterproductive. They put the heart on edge. They tend to increase the rate of the heartbeats. They tend to increase the force at which the heart is beating. And these two factors are key in raising the blood pressure. So when people have heartbreak, they have risk of developing high blood pressure. One, because their heart rate tends to increase, the force of contractility of the heart increases, and therefore the blood pressure increases. Now, If this is a momentary event, it is possible the person will get over it and turn back to his normal status. If it was somebody who is at the brink of developing hypertension before, this event will tip the person into hypertension. And sometimes, like I said, it increases the heart rate. For some people, it makes the heart rate to become irregular. For some people, it compromises the supply of blood to the heart. And that is why sometimes people have that and suddenly they develop heart attack. Why? Because it compromises the supply of blood to the heart. Once there's no supply of blood to the heart, that's what we call heart attack. Yes, sir. So people are also prone to developing heart attack. Even beyond the heart, people are also prone to developing stroke. Because when blood pressure goes up, and then the blood supply to the brain can be compromised, and somebody can develop stroke, just with that event of heartbreak. So, like I said earlier on, there's a direct relationship, yes, and this can be worked out easily, just as explained.
So we have to be careful out there who we are serving breakfast, because the emotions there's a connection with the heart, just like Doctor has said. So, Doctor, like, what are ways we can deal with stress, to help us to better, take care of our heart? Like, that, okay, this is a stress thing I'm doing, this is a stressed up situation. Or sometimes it's just work, and that the environment around work sometimes can be stressful. So, what can you do better to manage stress?
The first thing I would say, I think we have to come to recognize the fact that stress is part of normal life, especially urban life. Yes, one has to face one form of stress or the other. And so being aware of that, in your mind, the mind with which you approach stress is also an issue. Now, if you take it to heart too much, you make it to bother you so much, that on its own becomes an emotional stress on its own. So when you know the stress you go through daily, in your mind, you settle and know, okay, this is what I know I have to go through. I don't need to be so bothered, so worried about it. That's the first thing to do. Secondly, you can try to work out ways. How can I make this thing lighter for myself? How can I find periods of break, moments of break and relaxation, even in the midst of the stress? What are simpler ways I can get things done, to reduce the stress? What are other extracurricular activity you can engage in after the whole stressful day and whatever that will help you to douse the effect of that stress? So these are some of the things you may have to consider in order to be able to cope with stress. But the truth is, there is no modern life that one can live now that you can completely exclude events of stress. Trying to achieve anything in life, there's a measure of stress you have to face, and that will have to come perhaps with it.
So thank you. I also wanted to find out, like, is there a particular checkup that can be done for a heart? Like, I can just walk into the hospital and say I want my heart checked, or
Yeah, certainly. Even based on what we had just said now, if you know you are exposed to much stress, then you have to also check yourself. Particularly if you know you have the problem before, maybe you are hypertensive, or you are diabetic, or you have a heart disease. You need to be consistent on your medication, understand, and check yourself regularly. Now, for people who particularly do not have any problem, it does not exclude you from checking your body, because as adults, we have that risk of developing one form of cardiovascular disease or not. So it is incumbent on every person to make out time as adults to check themselves. Basic things. There are basic things to do that does not need so much, and that we flag any major problem that you have in your system. At least before you go further to do some other advanced things, you do the simpler things. They will flag it. If there's something significant, something major, talking in terms of your heart health, cardiovascular health, those little baseline things, we flag it, which will now open the window for doing higher tests. Understand? So routine, you check your blood pressure, It doesn't cost
Mhm.
almost nothing to check your blood pressure. And it's advisable as adults, you can buy a BP machine to check yourself at home. Or if you don't have that, you can always walk to a roadside chemist or a pharmacy store or to a clinic, understand, check your blood pressure regularly. You know, every 3 months, every 6 months, it's not a bad idea. That's if you are not hypertensive. Understand? So that's the first thing that you do almost at no costs. Then two, you check your blood sugar. Yes, diabetes is also a very serious risk for heart disease.
Yeah.
Yes. So regular check of blood sugar, what we call fasting blood sugar, first thing in the morning, check your blood sugar. That's also very important. You can check your urine, what we call urinalysis. These are very simple things to do. Do urinalysis. Doesn't almost cost more than 1,000 naira. You have to pay for it. Understand? Yeah, so these are basics. Other things you can do, ECG is also basic, doesn't cost so much. That looks deeper into the heart.
Yeah.
If you have heart problem or you have hypertension that is affecting the heart already, a simple ECG, will show some abnormality that will now indicate whether you need to do something more than that. Other things you can do, something like lipid profile, that is checking your cholesterol level. It's important because heart attack is becoming a common thing in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest risks of developing heart attack is having high cholesterol. These things can be checked in the blood. So it's something one can do maybe once in a year or once in 6 months. Then you can also check your kidney function. All these are basic things that you can access without much difficulty. So every adult is advised maybe once in a year or maybe things like lipid profile, kidney function, once in 2 years. You can do these things and you are sure that nothing serious will be happening and you'll not be able to do it. Yes.
So precautions, usually prevention is actually better than cure.
Yeah.
So just like the doctor has told us. But before we come to a stop, I wanted to ask you like three basic questions. Number one is, what are the things that they don't really tell us about the heart that you think we should know about our heart? And then number two is, are there any things we are so used to hearing but is not true about our heart?
Okay, first, I think the basic information we need to know that these are some of the things we are already discussing. Yes. So the heart is a very important organ, and the heart can become sick. And when the heart becomes sick, it's usually a very risky thing because um, the heart is an emergency, and if you may not get the attention as quickly as you should if you allow things to go bad. So it's very important to take care of our heart. And the other things we have discussed already. We're talking about some things that people, hold that are not true. Uh, People used to think that high blood pressure is about thinking. I think it's a very, very false information. When you check your blood pressure, you discover it's high, you ask you, what are you thinking about? Or maybe you are not married. You ask, you are not married and your blood pressure is high. You don't have a family and blood pressure high. High blood pressure is a disease and needs to be treated such. Yes. So very important to know that high blood pressure is not about thinking. High blood pressure is a disease that needs to be treated. Two, I'm focusing on high blood pressure because it's the commonest thing around. Yeah. Among all adults in Nigeria, every 3 to 4 adults have high blood pressure. And less than 30% of these people are aware. So majority of people having high blood pressure, they are walking on the streets. They are not aware. That's why people sleep, they don't wake up. That's why people, maybe you are taking a presentation on a podium, you fall down and die, understand? And people have a heart attack and all sorts happen, understand? Because of high prevalence of high blood pressure. So it's not about thinking, it's a disease that anybody can develop at any time in his life, and it is earlier among the blacks. It occurs earlier among the blacks. This we have to take into account. And when you develop high blood pressure, it does not have a cure. There are a lot out there, people parade all sorts of information, they found cure for high blood pressure, you take this, you cure. there is no cure. What we do for patients with high blood pressure is you treat it. And medication is for life. Once you are on your medication, you are fine. When you go off your medication, the blood pressure will return. So there are misconceptions about what causes high blood pressure, about the treatment. It can be cured. No, it cannot be cured. And you can live your full life. If you are diagnosed with high blood pressure, you start taking your medication. The implication of that is this: if I have high blood pressure, you do not have. Once I start taking drugs, my blood pressure comes down to the way your body is. So there's no difference between the two of us. The only difference is that I swallow drug to get the same pressure with you. So that's what people need to understand, that it can be effectively managed. And don't be deceived when you are told that it can be cured, or treatment can be cured, or treatment is timed. Maybe you take it for 2 weeks, take it for 2 months. No, treatment is for life. So I think these are all wrong notions that people have. I think I can correct at this point.
I have been schooled by Dr. Shidari, like this is so amazing that to find out that, he said something very important. He said when the heart becomes sick, it is an emergency. And I think we do not all need to get to the point where our heart is sick to become an emergency. So the reason why we need to check up ourselves on daily basis. You can easily walk, like he said, walk into a clinic or anywhere and ask them to do a high blood pressure.
A blood pressure check.
Blood pressure check. So that way we are conscious of our heart health. And then on the second notion where he talked about the high blood pressure and not being treatable and the misconceptions surrounding it, please let us take important note. If there are like 3 people out there and they don't even have an idea, they don't even know that they have high blood pressure, that's a serious emergency. So we should all check ourselves and make sure we continue to live our healthiest life. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We are glad to have you here.
It's a pleasure being here, and I appreciate this opportunity on the event of World Heart Day that took place on the 29th of September. I think that gave me the zeal and the push to really come, because we take advantage of this period to enlighten the masses, to have information. Say information is power, so that people will seek reliable healthcare and know about these things and take the necessary action. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of this platform to reach out to people.
So continue to stay with us on health and wellness. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.